grave and what we believe to be human bone fragment.
There's someone down there, that's creepy.
So that guy's following us. We're gonna go hide. Okay guys, this is strange. Hi guys, thank you for tuning into Amy's Crypt. Today I'm going to take you to visit some of the scariest cemeteries in the world. And what makes these places so scary is the history, ghost stories, and even some crazy personal experiences that I had of my own there. So let's jump into our first location, which is a brand new one to my channel. This is probably also one of the most strange and unique cemeteries on this list, and one where we saw some pretty disturbing things. Welcome to the Teochew Chinese Cemetery of Bangkok, Thailand. This cemetery dates all the way back to 1900 and was originally constructed as a burial place for Chinese immigrants that were living in Thailand. Though the cemetery took in many interments and grew to be quite vast, it eventually was abandoned and fell into disrepair. Soon the cemetery became overgrown and locals began to fear it, believing that there were many aggressive spirits that resided within it. The story goes that these spirits became disgruntled that the cemetery had become a forgotten place and one that no one really cared about. Eventually, the cemetery actually became a public park, and this park has everything. It has its own kickboxing gym, karaoke stations, picnic areas. It even has shrines and temples within it. A lot of people visit this place, and it is a little bit odd as all of this sits amongst these graves, and not all of the graves are maintained. This area is way more spooky. It's getting, it looks older, less symmetrical, more ruined and more overgrown. Some say that this park makeover has settled some of the spirits, whilst there are some others that remain disgruntled because they want some attention shown to the places that they are buried. This was a really interesting one to visit and really interesting to investigate. If you guys are interested in seeing a full investigation video, make sure to hit subscribe because I'll have full videos coming soon to my channel. What makes this place so scary though is the condition that some of these graves still exist in. During my visit to the cemetery, I actually found what I believe to be a human bone that had spilled out of one of the graves that appeared to have been smashed open. So I mean, that was creepy. We've seen an open grave and what we believe to be human bone fragment. So I'm really not sure what the deal with that is, but it's creepy. Additionally, my husband and cameraman, who many of you who watch my videos regularly may know as Jared, actually described what he saw in this cemetery as a shadow figure. So what exactly did you see?
Just a shadow figure. Just like corner of my eye, looked like it was a guy standing there.
You swear by it? And that is really creepy but very cool because Jared is very, very skeptical of the paranormal. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that experience though because I will have full videos covering this location coming out really, really soon. Our next stop is a very scary little cemetery in Transylvania, Romania. This one is perched high up on a hill behind a church in the town of Sighișoara. And this place is infamous for being the birthplace of Vlad Tepes, better known as Vlad the Impaler, or even the real-life inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. This cemetery is actually only accessible by climbing a flight of stairs that are said to be haunted. Some of you may have already seen my video on Sighișoara where I climbed these stairs at night, but what you didn't see is that I was actually attacked on the night of filming. Moments before reaching this staircase, I was actually lunged at by a strange man on the street. After dodging this man, he proceeded to yell at me and then followed me into the cemetery. This made the experience of walking through it all the more creepy. Alright, we're so close to the top now.
There it is. I'm so glad you didn't make me drag cam this. Too many stairs.
Yes, a lot. Right.
Made it.
Pretty cool.
Let's hang on, let's look back. See what we've accomplished.
Gee, yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, there's someone down there that's creepy.
It's not that guy that...
Oh, don't tell me. Is it?
Was he wearing a hat before?
I don't know. Let's go. Let's get away. So before, when we were filming down by the clock tower, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was coming for me or what, but I felt like I was gonna get attacked. This man came at me. I thought he was going for my camera, so I kind of dodged him, but I felt like, oh, I need to get ready to punch this man in the face. Don't want him to follow. Okay, that guy's following. So that guy's followed us. We're gonna go hide.
He doesn't come through the gates.
Hmm?
He didn't come through the gates.
No, but he's just hanging out right now. I don't know.
Have you guys ever been followed like this? I'd be really curious to know what you all would have done in that situation. Please leave me comments below. Our next scary cemetery is actually one from San Diego, California. This one is known as the El Campo Santo Cemetery, and I really love this place. It has a lot of old charm sitting in Old Town San Diego and dates all the way back to 1849. This one is notoriously known for being one of the most haunted places in San Diego. It actually used to be much larger, but a lot of the graves were actually constructed over to make a road that still runs past the cemetery to this day. The story goes that a lot of the spirits there were angered by this and have risen from their graves to now haunt the area. I had a couple of my own strange experiences while investigating this cemetery at night. Firstly, while conducting a spirit box session, I had my brand new batteries drained completely of power.
Okay guys, this is strange. I'm not sure you can hear this, but I just got my spirit box out to do a quick session and it's completely drained battery and now it's making this crazy high-pitched noise. So I'm not sure why that is, but I guess we can't do a session, so I'll put that away.
This isn't something that is odd or unusual. It happens all the time to me on this channel, though a lot of people believe that spirits could drain that energy to use for themselves. Shortly after, while walking through the empty cemetery, I walked right through a cloud of smoke which smelled exactly as if it was cigar smoke. This was really odd and unusual as there was nobody else around, and it didn't appear as if this smell could have been carrying through the air from somewhere external. It was also really pungent, as if I had literally walked through a cloud of someone's smoke from a cigar.
So I've been in the cemetery for a while, and when I walked through this particular area I got a really strong whiff of cigar smoke, almost as if I walked through a cloud of it.
I've actually never experienced this at any other location that I have been to, and it's a really odd and unusual one that I struggle to explain. My next cemetery is a very little known one. It lies just outside of the small lake island Flores in Guatemala. Jared and I stayed here for a couple of days just to relax, but we decided to take a night visit to a nearby cemetery just to take a bunch of photos there. As we were walking over to the cemetery, we started to get the feeling that we weren't in the safest of areas, but we proceeded anyway. And as soon as we got to that cemetery, we entered and immediately heard voices yelling at each other. We definitely were not alone in there.
What's that?
I don't know.
So we carried on into the cemetery just because we wanted to avoid the other people that were in there. So we went around the back, and it is in one of the back corners that I saw something incredibly creepy. Here in the darkness, I saw a man sitting on a gravestone, completely alone, in complete silence, just sitting there staring at me. It was very scary, so I kind of just gestured to Jared that we needed to move. He didn't say anything either, and we just left. Later, he claimed to have seen the exact same thing. I don't actually believe that it was a ghost or anything paranormal. I think that it was actually a real person sitting there. I don't know why they were there, which makes it all the more creepy. And when we went back in to check if they were, they had gone. It was so creepy, and I still think about it to this day. It was weird. The things that happened after this was we decided to leave, and on our walk back to Floresty Island, we were stopped by a man on a motorcycle. At first he was talking to us in Spanish. When he realized that we didn't speak Spanish, he very bluntly told us, "This is a dangerous area for tourists to be at night. You guys need to go back to where you came from." So after that, we just rushed back, and always wonder about that cemetery. Now onto my number 1 scariest cemetery, which also happens to be the scariest place that I have ever visited, and that one is La Noria in Chile. The cemetery is actually attached to a now ghost town, though that place was once a bustling and busy mining town. The cemetery, though, is thought by so many to be cursed and is actually just incredibly disturbing to look at. Supposedly, many of these graves in the cemetery were looted, and they also appear to have been pushed right up to the surface. This has left a lot of human remains and skeletons and bones exposed or partly exposed. A lot of them you can even see the clothes that they were buried in. Legend states that the souls of those buried at La Noria rise from their graves each night to make their way back down to the nearby town. So of course I had to stay until after nightfall. All of this aside, what makes La Noria so scary is how difficult and dangerous it is to access. This isn't somewhere anyone ever visits, and it was so hard just to locate this place. The road that allows access to La Noria has actually been blocked off by a mining company. So the only way to get there is to hike through the Atacama Desert, which is the driest in the world. On top of this, there are open mine shafts scattered everywhere, just left open by the mining company. It's also really remote, and you're very far from any help if something were to happen. While we were hiking through that desert as well, we were being circled by vultures, and you all know how scared of birds I am. I'm absolutely terrified of birds, and we've just walked into vulture territory. It's very unsettling for me. This made walking back to our car in the pitch black of night very scary. The desert is not easy to navigate given it has a lot of steep ravines and open mine shafts, particularly when you're walking through in the dark. So I'm now walking back in the pitch black. This is literally what I can see, just a tiny little glimpse of torchlight. Car's pretty far away, so hopefully we can make it there. Ooh. La Noria is definitely the scariest place I have ever visited, and I urge you all to check out my full video on it, which I'm going to link below. It is one of my earlier videos, so it hasn't seen too much love, so it'd be great if you could go and watch that. So, what were your favourite scary cemeteries on this list? Or maybe you have some that you think I should go check out. Please leave me a comment below. If you did enjoy this list though, please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. If you want to do any more reading on the haunted places or scary places I have visited, head to amyscrypt.com. You guys can also follow me at amyscrypt on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And remember guys, until next time, stay spooky.